Stand right about here. Let's talk about another dramatic highlight in your career, that of Stan the Man Musial. It's a 1955 All-Star game in Milwaukee.
In the last half of the 12th inning, the National League 5, the American League 5. The National League sends up Stan Musial, Willie Mays, and Ted Kluszewski facing the big right-hander Frank Sullivan. Nobody on base and nobody out. Sullivan's first pitch to Stan is swung on as a drive back into right field. A long one. The ball game is over. In the last half of the 12th inning, Stan Musial, who had gone 0 for 3, hit the first pitch deep into the right field bleachers, and there's a mob scene down at home plate as he's greeted by the entire National League team. Home run for Musial in the last half of the 12th inning.
You know, you hear that home run, I can't help but remember talking to Yogi about that, how Yogi said to Stan, of course, when you know Stan, you got to realize that he's a very accommodating guy. He talks to catchers and he finishes his conversation when he comes across home plate. In this All-Star game, extra innings and Yogi's feet were hurting, so he said, come on, Stan, my feet are hurting. So Stan said, okay, Yogi, I'll help you out. Bongo, the big home run, game's over, National League wins, and Yogi's feet don't hurt anymore.
Before we start swinging the bat, we first must learn when to swing it. This is very important, and I want to call attention to the broken white line on picture number 13. That's the top of the strike zone for you little leaguers. A pitch thrown above that is a ball. The regular strike zone is represented by a solid white line that runs across the top of the shoulders. Remember my telling you that you should keep your hands high when taking your stance. Well, that's to protect yourself against a pitch that is in the top part of the strike zone. If your hands are high, you can get a good level swing at that pitch. A level swing, that's important. So now we understand where the strike zone is. Let's go on to the next picture. Here you can see the width of that strike zone. It's 17 inches wide, which is the same as the plate. I have my bat extended in my swing, and you can see that the bat covers the area of the plate. You must make sure of this. You don't want to swing and miss any part of that plate. In baseball, you don't give anything away, especially to pitchers. Now, while we're still looking at this picture of the strike zone, and we know that we got the plate covered with the extended bat, notice that my bat is level with the ground. That means that it is being swung correctly. Don't swing down on the ball with a chopping action. Keep your hands level with the pitch, and your swing will be level and you won't drive that ball into the ground. And above all, with a level swing, you won't be hitting up on the ball, which often causes pop-ups or easy flies to the outfield. Let's go to picture number 15 and take another look at it. The first thing to pay attention to in this picture is that the weight is entirely on the front foot. That's ensuring power in the swing. Also, if you look at my head and eyes, you'll see that the head is turned so that the eyes are on the point of impact. That's the proof that I've kept my eye on the ball, and the swing has been well timed because I'm meeting the ball in front of the plate. Look closely at my hands and wrists. You can tell that I've got a good firm grip on the bat, and my wrists have already snapped and are starting to turn over for the follow-through in the direction that I've hit the ball. The expression of my face is one of determination. Right here is a good time for me to tell you boys that you must be aggressive in your hitting. Confidence is also important. You must believe, like I do, that every time you go up to the plate, you're going to get a base hit. Stride right into that pitch and hit it. Now, I don't mean by that you should be swinging with all your might and trying for a home run every time you're up there, but I do mean that you should be an offensive hitter and not a defensive one. Don't be looking for that base on balls. Go up there to hit, and you'll do it more often than not.
Stan, to listen to you talk about hitting the way you're doing, it sounds like you're giving away some of the secrets of hitting. Some guys make it sound so secret.
Well, one of the secrets of hitting, Joe, is to meet the ball at all times and meet it with a hard, controlled swing. But don't have a lazy swing. Don't swing half-heartedly at a pitch. If you made up your mind that it's a good pitch, swing at it with force and really mean it. Attack the ball. If the pitcher throws that ball in the strike zone, swing at it. If you don't swing, you can't hit it. So make up your mind you're not going to take any pitches that are thrown in the strike zone. Don't worry about striking out. You look a lot better striking out swinging at a pitch than you do standing there with the bat on your shoulder. Just remember to always be on the attack when you're in that batter's box and act accordingly. Another thing, you must hit the ball where it's pitched.
Stan, what do you mean you must hit the ball where it's pitched? Are you talking about all pitches, or are you talking about a particular pitch?
I'm talking about pitches within the strike zone now. You know, there's quite a few places they can throw that ball and still be in the strike zone. If the pitch is on the outside of the plate, step in toward it and drive it to the opposite field with less body turn and not so much wrist action. If the ball is thrown on the inside of the plate, the bat must be brought around more quickly as you step toward the pitcher. The wrist must snap that bat around to get that good wood on the ball. Don't get discouraged if at first you hit a lot of balls back to the pitcher or to center field. This means that your timing is good and that you're meeting the ball squarely.
Stan, how about pulling the ball or hitting the ball to the opposite field?
The ability to pull a ball or hit to the opposite field comes only with practice and a lot of it. You must adjust your foot action so that you're not swinging too soon or too late. You'll find that a faster stride and a quicker swing increases the ability to pull the ball. To hit to the opposite field, you wait longer, take your normal swing, and punch the ball. It takes more skill to hit to the opposite field, and you got to practice to attain this. Above all, don't be afraid to step in toward the plate for that outside pitch. As long as you're wearing a helmet and you have no business hitting, even in practice without one, you can't get hurt. So spend a lot of time stepping in and punching that ball to the opposite field. To be able to hit to all fields is of course a tremendous advantage because the opposing team doesn't know how to set their defense against you. You got them guessing as where you're going to hit the ball, and your ability to cross them up makes for winning baseball.
Stan, you spoke a while ago about wrist action and snap of the wrist. Can you cover that just a little more thoroughly?
I sure can, Joe. So let's get right to that picture, number 16, and further analyze the swing. This close shot of the wrist shows you the proper position and impact. The bat is being whipped through the ball and into the follow-through. The wrist will continue to turn until at the end of the follow-through, the position of the wrists will be reversed. The lower wrist will actually be on top as the arms swing around to the rear. And that brings us to the follow-through, so let's go to picture number 17. The bat has been swung completely around, just about as far as it will go. And notice that even though I've gone completely around, that I still got a good hold on that bat. Whatever you do, don't throw or sling that bat after you've swung. That's a very bad habit to get into and a hard one to break, so don't do it. Another thing to note in the follow-through is that the weight is still on that forward foot where it should be. Now look at the rear foot. It's being dragged forward from the place where it was anchored in the stance. It's now ready to take that first step toward first base.
Stan, what do you think are the hardest pitches to hit?
Joe, the high inside pitch and the low outside pitch are the hardest balls to hit. I know they are for me, and for most hitters in the big leagues as well. So boys, let's move along to the next picture, number 18. First, notice that the body and knees are straightened up because the pitch is high, and the hands are kept high for that level swing. It's on the inside of the plate, so you should step toward the pitcher and not toward the plate for this one. By stepping toward the pitcher, you have a chance to get that bat around, and at the same time, get that fat of the bat on the ball. Otherwise, you'll be hitting the ball on the handle, and chances are if you do, you'll be an easy out. Alright, let's go to the next album picture, which is number 19.
Stan, all pitchers pitch low. It's a tough one to hit. What can you do about this low pitch?
This is a real tough pitch to hit, boys, but it can be done. First, notice that I've bent my body lower to get better leverage for my swing, and also that I've lowered my hands to keep my swing as level as I can. If it's right across the knees, which is where most pitchers try to throw, I've got to drop the end of my bat enough to get down to where the ball is. Remember that you got to step in toward the plate to successfully hit this pitch, because it's on the outside of the plate, and you must get the fat part of the bat over to where the ball is.
Stan, you're a fine bunter, and that's a very important part of hitting. What does it take to become a good bunter?
Joe, picture number 20 is the first one on bunting. So let's look at that now. The ability to bunt should be mastered by every ball player. Just because you're either a pitcher or a slugger is no reason why you shouldn't learn to bunt, and to bunt well. First, remember that in a bunt situation, you should take your normal stance as I'm doing, and don't commit yourself to the bunt until the last possible moment, so they can't set the defense against you. Keep those infielders back as long as you can. Now let's go to picture 21 in your Stand the Man picture album. I'll tell you about it. Here you see I'm facing the pitcher. I've swung around by pivoting on my front foot, and my body is squared off facing the pitch. My lower hand has retained its position near the bottom of the handle, while my other hand has been moved down toward the trademark. Keep the bat high because it's much easier to lower it than to bring it up. In a sacrifice situation, most pitchers try to keep the ball high in the hopes that you'll pop it up in the air. So it's best to be ready for the high pitch. Bend if the ball comes low and drop your hands. And remember to hold that bat loosely in your hands and let the ball hit it. The recoil of the bat will help the ball roll slowly in the infield, which is what you want.
Stan, when you talk about the bunt and you use the word sacrifice bunt, you know, I kind of think that that word sacrifice kind of wraps up this game of baseball as exactly what it means.
Joe, baseball is a team game. It's the team that's important, not the individual. Always remember that. And remember also that it is a sport and it has a code of rules which must be obeyed. Sportsmanship is an important factor. Play hard and play to win. Never quit and never give up until the last man is out. And another thing, your coaches and managers are there to help you learn the fundamentals of the game. Go to them for advice and do as they say. Above all, remember there is no better way to improve yourself than to keep practicing at it.
Stan, you've played baseball a long time, longer than most big league stars. What's your secret?
Joe, I've been lucky, I know that. I've always kept in top condition. I've never been seriously injured, and I always watch my diet. Sleep is most important. You can't play baseball well when you're tired. Weight, of course, is another factor. If you find yourself putting on that extra weight so that those scales are going up too fast, try pushing yourself away from the table before you stuff yourself. Plenty of exercise and 8 hours sleep should be the right program for any growing boy. And now, Joe, I've been talking a long time, so before I go over the high spots and sort of a recap of what I've been telling the boys, how about a few of those stories of yours?
Stan, you keep talking about stories of mine, and really they're not stories. It's just that I'm trying to prove a point that when catchers are talking to umpires, that's exactly what they're doing. They're not stories. They're not arguing. They're just trying to help them. I can remember a game where Dewey Williams, the catcher, was asked to leave. He merely asked one simple question. Came at a bad time, I'll grant you that. It was a 2-2 count, and a pitch came across his cap. Beans reared and said, "Strike!" And when he called it strike 3, all Dewey Williams asked was one question. He said, "Hey, Beans, how can you get that square head in a round mask?" Hank Sauer got kicked out of a game. You think these are stories. They're not. Hank Sauer got kicked out of a game for just trying to help an umpire. You know how a mask is made with an iron bar on top and an iron bar at the bottom? After a third strike, that was a bad time. But Hank Sauer just suggested, he said to the umpire, if you look between the bars instead of through the iron, you'd see better. And you would. Those are not stories, Stan. We're just trying to help umpires. All catchers are trying to help them. Of course, a guy like you, everybody likes you. Umpires, catchers. Why, you've been a great ball player, and you've set any number of records. I know I don't get tired of hearing about your records. Here's another record-breaking performance of yours. That's when a record that had stood for many years was finally broken. It was Hannes Wagner's record for number of hits. So let's go back to that momentous day in Los Angeles in 1962.
Here's Phillips. Well, back in the Midwest, it's Sunday, May the 20th. Here in Los Angeles, it's Saturday, May the 19th. Musial has been hitless in his last 9 times at bat. Karanowski's pitch. Curve of beauty, a strike call. This Karanowski really rough. There's the pitch by the left-hander. There's a line drag on the right. There it is! There it is! There it is! Listen to this crowd. A standing ovation. A standing ovation. 50,000 people. Everybody up, even in the players' dugout. Listen to the hands. That's over, Harry. With 3,431st hit of his career, an all-time National League record, breaking the mark held for many years by Hannes Wagner. A mark that Wagner first started to make in 1897. Photographers getting pictures. This is it.
Now, boys, let's get back to Stan the Man for some last-minute tips.
Boys, let's just go over some of the important points and what I've been telling you about hitting. Don't try and swing too heavy a bat, and find one that handles easily. Remember how I told you to grip the bat. Line your hands up properly and grip the bat firmly, but not too tight. Stand comfortable in the batter's box. Don't try to imitate anyone. Hold your hands high and keep your arms from being too close to your body. Keep your head still and your eyes on the ball. Don't overstride. Hit the ball where it's pitched with a hard level swing and try to hit to all fields. Be an aggressive hitter, but don't swing too hard. Be a team player and remember that baseball is a sport to enjoy. Above all, have fun playing baseball.